Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our Lunch and Learn. This is Duke. I'm a product manager here at LightPath. My manager, Kenneth, cannot make this call due to a family emergency. So it's just going to be me, the marketing team, and several other, internal LightPath team members on the call today, along with you guys. So thanks again for attending. So let's get started. Our topic today is to focus on solutions to help your hybrid workforce succeed. First, I will give you a quick overview of LightPath and our network. After that, we will touch on specific products that will help you adapt to the hybrid work environments. Please keep in mind that we have more managed products than a traditional carrier like Zayo or Crowdcastle. But feel free to ask questions via the chat box anyway, and I will try my best to address them during the presentation, or we will get back to you. Okay, moving on here. So here's some facts about LightPath. We are currently a regional carrier, but we are always eager to expand the footprint. Currently, we own and operate more than 18,000 miles, route miles of fiber, and 12,000 locations, including many data centers. Our network, is state-of-the-art optical and packet networks, and you might have read on the news last July that we rolled out 800 gig capabilities via the implementation of Ciena's WaveLogic Phi Extreme technologies. And for that, we think it will help your hybrid workforce tremendously, since COVID-19 has caused more devices, not less, right? We have a strong financial positions with, roughly 400 million revenues and also counting. We have been in the industry for 30 plus years, serving thousands of customers, mainly in, the tri-state area. And then, as I mentioned before, we have 75, more than 75 on-net data centers, and then also the landing stations as well. On the cloud side, we have connectivity to all major cloud providers out there. We are backed by Altice USA and also Morgan Stanley, as you might have, read under the news last year. For our markets, we focus on the tri-state area and also expanding as well. In terms of the product suite, pretty much, compared to, Zayo or Crowdcastle or Level 3 or now CenturyLink or AT&T, we have a full suite of all fiber connectivity products. On top of that, voice, security, and also other managed services as well. We are willing to do anything custom solutions for the customers, besides, the standard, IP, Ethernet, Wave, so on and so forth. Company-wide, we have about 400 employees, of course, with the local sales, operations, and also support. This is a snapshot of our fiber map. As you can see, the metro and long-haul fibers, are pretty dense. And we not only serve the enterprise customers, but we also serve other carriers for the last mile, connections as well. And this is very important because, we obviously have, various, revenue streams, and serving the enterprise, is always great to get us closer to the customers. but also serving the carriers. We also can build the strategic relationship, when we want to expand to other markets as well. For the LightPath difference, we are very proud of our network. It's all 100% fiber-based, next generation optical and packet networks. Similar to what I mentioned earlier about the Sienna partnership. And then also our POPs, not only, we also have presence in the major POPs like 111.8, City Hudson. We also have, presence in less common data centers, which will give you more, options when it comes to diversity, because obviously, it's very unlikely that, the major POPs could go down, but, there's always a chance, right? So we always, kind of diverse ourselves from other carriers by having presence at other, less common data centers as well. We using our expertise, in the past 30 years, and then plus our staff, has a long tenure in telecom. We also serve a lot of the state and federal agencies via our network. And then last but not least, we are very proud of ourselves by focusing on the customers. And, it's just everything, from sales to install to support. Okay. So, going back to the main topic today, obviously, there are quite a few solutions to have, your hybrid workforce. We're just focusing on the internet service with the bustible options today. And then also on top of that, with the internet connectivity, we also have a UCaaS, or Unified Communications as a Service options, which includes, the phones, the meetings, the normal basic communication needs to serve you guys, and also Cloud Connect. And as I mentioned before, we also have managed Wi-Fi and security products. So feel free to, put out some questions, if I can answer them, I will during the presentation. So first, dedicated internet access. Everybody needs IP, right? And what we are doing today, we also using internet. So our internet is 100% fiber-based, and it is not based on an oversubscription model where carriers may place a router in the basement and then oversubscribe a single 1 gig on 1 gig or 10 gig links. So it's all going to be 100% fiber. We're going to hand off, 2 fibers for you to plug into the router. So it's also secure, it's dedicated, bandwidth. And, if we need to upgrade you, say from 1 gig to 10 gig or 1 gig to 2 gig, we can do it via like a desktop change. We don't have to send anybody out to your location at all. So today, our bandwidth, can scale from 20 megs up to 100 gigs. And believe it or not, 20 gig is, kind of like a common, speed request nowadays. We have had several customers who ask us to do, 20 gig or 30 gig bustible up to 100 gig. So the bandwidth requirement will always increase. In terms of configuration and design, obviously we have, the standard, single point, single, 2 fiber strands to your location. But if you need any kind of diversity, we always, design, going, to a different POP, or, when we go to your location, we can do, the entrance, diversity as well. And then last but not least, bustable options is available. So today, if you feel like 1 gig might not be enough, but you don't want to commit to 3 gig or 5 gig or 10 gig, we can always configure your IP service on the 10 gig port and then allow you to burst from 1 gig up to 10 gig at just pretty much freely, with an open port. We don't rate limit your rate at all, and the burst calculation is based on the 95th percentile, which is like a very common in our industry. So besides, internet connectivity, we're also moving on to communications, right? And this is, for us, this is very unique compared to traditional carriers like Zayo or Crowdcastle, especially in the tri-state area, because we offer this, voice products, not only phone-based, but also, software-based. So obviously, when you deploy a business-hosted voice product, we will not require you to deploy any equipments at all. So no big upfront investment. We always take care of the upgrades. If there's like a software behind the scene, we can always take care of that for you. Everything is going to be via monthly recurring cost, and then beyond that, there's nothing else. Features and web management, the admin and then the users all will have access to a portal where you can kind of configure specific features if you like. And if you look, on the two, pictures on the right-hand side, you're going to see that, that is this, sample of the max UC, or we call it, in simple terms, the soft phones that are linked to the business hosted voice product. So pretty much, I'm sure you guys have all been using some kind of like a soft phone features. So for our products, business hosted voice plus the soft phones or max UC, you can kind of, interchange, from the physical phones to your soft phones on your iPhone or Android phones. And then, you can bridge, all the folks. It's very, simple to use with a very simple user interface. Okay. So that is on the voice side. On the cloud side, since folks, might work from an office, might work from home, the trend nowadays, and as you have seen in the past, probably, 5 to 7 years, folks, tend to go to the cloud for data backup, for, critical, applications. So at, LightPath, of course, you can get to the cloud via the internet, which will be more expensive compared to like a layer 2 Ethernet connections to the cloud providers. So today, we are working on direct connections to AWS and Microsoft Azure. But beyond that, if you plan to use any less common cloud providers, we also partner with Equinix to go to pretty much any cloud providers that you would like to go to. I'm not going to go through the how it works section now because of the time limit, and then pretty much we can discuss more on the technical terms if you are interested in getting to the cloud. On the bandwidth options, pretty much we can go up to 10 gig without issues. And we currently have two existing head ends in Secaucus and Ashburn right now, but we also once we formalize the AWS direct connections partnership, we can deploy more NNIs, at various AWS locations. So this is, just, kind of the follow-up slide for the Cloud Connect. Obviously, because of the various, bandwidth requirements, we are very flexible in terms of bandwidth options. When you do the connections to the cloud via layer 2 Ethernet connections, it's going to be a lot cheaper than using internet. And if you would like us to do that analysis for you, feel free to let us know, because we have built like a portal and then cost comparison, just to show you the break-even point where you should move from IP connectivity to the cloud, to layer 2 connectivity to the cloud. Our connections is secure and resilient. Obviously, we operate our own layer 2 network, so it's like a private network and very secure. Okay, so pretty much that's all we have today because of the time limit. Obviously, we also have all the managed products such as, the managed Wi-Fi and secure. So at this time, feel free to add your questions to the chat box. And I know that, before the meeting, we also have one question from the audience regarding the tiers of managed Wi-Fi and the differences. So our answer to that is, for the managed Wi-Fi product, it's a highly custom product. So the process for us is that if you are interested in the managed Wi-Fi product, we will first ask you for like a layout of your office, and then we will, determine the coverage of the APs or access points, and depending on the number of employees, the square footage, and then the bandwidth requirements, we will provide you guys like a detailed design plan, and then also the cost that we can translate that into like a managed service. And then all you need to worry about is paying us the monthly recurring revenue or cost to you. So feel free to add in your questions. And then, so why we wait, I would like just to kind of, check, on how does your workforce communicate and collaborate today via, which software do you guys usually use, Teams or Jabber from Cisco, or, Max UCs, which is our product. Because, the reason I bring that up is that we are more than happy to offer some kind of like a trial. Let me go back to that slide. We are more than happy to offer you some kind of trial for a month or 2 months on the Max UC or soft phones products. If you are an existing BH voice or business hosted voice product with LightPath today, we are more than happy to do that. So then you can try out to see how the soft phones, work before you commit to the term. And then we have another questions here that I have seen, that do we do we see the need of increasing the bandwidth at the office? So this is the questions, I guess, you asking about, ask the provider, have we been seeing, more requests for bandwidth upgrade or commit to a higher bandwidth connectivity or not? And, the answer, to that is yes. We have been seeing more and more requests to increase the bandwidth going to the office, which is kind of interesting because, when you talk about like a hybrid workforce solutions, a lot of the folks, think that less people going to the office will cause, less, bandwidth requirement. In fact, from what we have been seeing so far, the opposite, is happening. We've been having more and more customers requesting 1 gig commitment on a 10 gig port. Or, as I mentioned earlier, they would like to have the ability to burst up to 10 gig. And the reason that we have been, seeing from our customers is that COVID-19 has caused people to have more devices versus less, because now they have iPads, they have the work laptop, they have the personal laptop, they have their phones, and they have, Teams or soft phones, Zoom, that they need to utilize, and they always need, like a quality of service or kind of guarantee bandwidth to do, video sharing and also file sharing in the office. So I mean that is the new trend, obviously. And then on top of that, we also have a lot of requests, because when you increase the traffic, there's going to be a concern about DDoS attack, especially for schools. And also we have seen quite a bit for the law from the law firms, concern as well. For the legal vertical, we have been having a lot of requests for call recording, which is one of the managed products that we offer as part of the business hosted voice product. And that is very popular among the legal vertical, because of the nature of your work, that you need to record a conversation with the clients, just in case you need to go back to it. Another, since I haven't seen any questions from the audience here, let me see here. Okay, I have another one here. So the question is, at what point do you determine getting to the cloud via internet versus Ethernet? Yeah, so there are two main factors that you're going to determine whether you can use the internet to get to the cloud, or using Ethernet to get to the cloud. The first one is the latency. Do you really need, do you have latency sensitive applications in the cloud that you need to get to? Or do you just use the cloud for backup services? For example, we had a customer who just needs to get to the cloud toward the end of the month, when their agents, close out orders, for each month, toward the end of the month only. And their usage, is just about, 2 or 3 days toward the end of the month versus, throughout the month. So in that case, it's just going to be easier for you to use internet connectivity to get to the cloud versus, commit to a E-line or layer 2 Ethernet circuit to get to the cloud, right? Now, if you need to utilize the cloud on a daily basis, remember the cloud, especially AWS, right? They charge you on the ingress and egress traffic. So when you use a private connectivity to get to the cloud, you're going to eliminate a lot of that cost, because you're just going to use our own network, LightPath network, in order to get access to the cloud without paying the cloud provider. Okay. All right. So we have 3 minutes left. Any last questions from the audience? Okay. All right. So, well, I just want to close out by emphasizing that, thank you for your attendance today. As you can see, we are here at LightPath. We, even though we're still a regional carrier, but we are always eager to expand. And again, we are very proud of ourselves by having more managed services, add-on products besides the traditional IP, dark fiber, Ethernet, wave products that a lot of the other carriers also offer. So feel free to reach out to us, and also even myself if needed. If you need to do a deep dive into any specific products or just to understand more about our position and how you should go with us versus, bigger carriers like Verizon, AT&T, Zayo, or Crowdcastle. Thanks again for your time.